What really obvious thing have you only just realized? Cilantro and coriander are the same plant. One time I was at a restaurant with a friend, sharing salsa and chips. I commented that the salsa had a very strong cilantro flavor, and she commented she couldn't taste anything other than coriander. We debated the issue for a few minutes, in disbelief that the other person was tasting something completely different and couldn't pick up on the taste the other thought was prominent. When I saw coriander seeds at the store a few weeks later, I bought them to see what taste she had been talking about, and then the truth clicked. I only just today realized that the walk the plank on a boat is not a special edition pirates added to their ships as a means of public execution that looked like a little wooden diving board. It is, in fact, the very same plank as the gangplank you'd normally use to get on and off of the ship. It is not the presence of the plank that is threatening, but the absence of dock. Until recently I also thought that, despite the obvious name, being keel-hauled meant you were just thrown off the boat and left behind. I didn't realize they tied you to a line, threw you off and dragged you under the ship's keel. Shout out to Ailstorm's Keelhauled for my late education. The first time I visited the USA I was on my own and in NY and going to all the museums. I kept seeing signs that said, "No strollers," and thought, because we call strollers prams in the UK, that you guys are super strict about the proper amount of attention required to visit a museum. I actually pretended to show more interest than I had in order not to be both of us some deadbeat out for a casual stroll. It wasn't until about day 3 that I saw a "No Strollers" sign that included a graphic for idiots. On my first visit to the States I went to a supermarket on my own and at the checkout the lady asked me paper or plastic, and I didn't know what she meant, so I said, "I have cash," and she very politely didn't tell me I was an idiot. She was in fact asking what type of carrier bags I wanted my shopping putting in, instead of how I was going to pay. That actually is a pretty reasonable misunderstanding. I'm a Brit who got sucked into a holiday job doing door-to-door sales for a MLM company in the US. All the doors with signs saying, "No solicitors," confused me. As I was neither an attorney or a rent boy, I figured I was in the clear. Fortunately the local police took an afternoon out of my day to explain. Since you just brought it up, I went years, after seeing the movie _Trainspotting_, thinking "Rent Boy" was just a cute folksy Scottish nickname for a guy whose name is rented. Wasn't till I read the book and he mentions being offended by the sobriquet that I bothered to look it up. Not a term one will hear in America, that's for sure. I always thought, "You can't have your cake and eat it too" was a weird saying, because why wouldn't I be able to eat my freaking slice of cake? It's my cake. Nobody was telling me that I can't have my cake. Turns out they mean you can't eat the cake while also still retaining it. Once it is eaten, it is gone. An idiom I did not understand until this year. I am 27. The Italian version of this is, "You can't have a full bottle and a drunk wife," or something along those lines. I recently realized I was allergic to carrots. I just thought they made everyone's mouth numb. You know, just like almonds. I also learned recently that I have an almond allergy. Same here. Thought that raw hazelnuts don't taste good, because they give this weird tingle in your mouth. Found out I had a nut allergy when it suddenly turned from tingle to anaphylaxis, and I ended up in hospital for eating nut chocolate. Same. I asked my husband why carrots made your tongue itchy. I'm 35. English is not my first language, so I was mind blown when I realized how keys, kiss, he's, his, this, these, etc. differed in sound pronunciation. I first noticed this when I told my boyfriend I wanted a keys and he looked very confused. Lol. Now I try my best to pronounce them properly. Imagine if you'd made that mistake when ordering peas. That big ship's wheel I got to turn as a kid was not actually controlling the cruise ship. This jogged my memory of something. When I was around 13, I was on a flight with a bunch of other kids. I fell asleep during the flight, but woke up during some turbulence. A couple kids near me saw me wake up startled and made a big show of saying, "Whoa. I can't believe the pilot did a barrel roll." A few other people I talked to about it confirmed it, and it took me embarrassingly far into adulthood to realize some people were just messing with me. I mean, a pilot on a commercial flight wouldn't do that, right? Principal Belding from Saved by the Bell is named Belding. 2 Beldings in one building and one of them's balding. Best line of the show according to younger me. I realized that to be in one's birthday suit it means to be without clothes. I thought for the longest time it was a specific set of clothes you would wear on your birthday each year. I found out when I asked. What happens when you don't fit in your birthday suit anymore, lol. Stretch marks happen. The reason the cord hook on the vacuum spins is so you can take the whole cord off at once instead of unraveling it one loop at a time. Like I have been my whole life. And if you wind it up as a figure 8 between the two hooks, when you turn the hook down and take off the whole cord, it won't get tangled up as you vacuum. For the longest time, I always thought Prima Donna was Prima Donna. Me, too. My mother would call me that and I thought she meant I was going to be a whore. Well, are you? Up until this thread, I too thought it was Prima Donna. I was 28 before I realized the meaning to the "Why is 6 afraid of 7" joke. I always just thought it was dumb. 7, 8, 9. Like you're just counting. The electric bill wasn't paid until later in my life. I didn't realize time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana wasn't absurdist humor until college. It's because 7 was a registered 6 offender. Wow. Thanks for the silver. My bedroom door was broke and I finally got around to fixing it. Thought the knob was broke cause it was pushed in towards the door, so I pulled it out and realized that was how you lock the door. As a small child, like maybe age 4, my family told me the powder room door at my grandparents' house didn't lock. I had a reputation for accidentally locking myself into places. So they didn't want me locking myself in there. I guess. I was 18 before I accidentally locked the door just like that. Realized how it worked and emerged from the bathroom mortified and amused that I had gone all those years thinking the door just didn't lock. No one even remembered lying to me about the lack of lock. The villain in Halloween is not played by Michael Myers. Get out of my swamp or I am gonna murder ya. It'd be a lot funnier if he was. It called Men's Wearhouse and not Men's Wearhouse. It's been a couple years since I realized this and I just think that's a clever name. What the frick, I just looked it up and I still don't believe you. That parents have children write letters to Santa so they can figure out what to buy them for Christmas. I can't believe how I never put that together after 32 years on this earth. I just thought it was fun little tradition. In Sweden we put those letters in the post box with mail headed to the North Pole. In Canada you also send them in the mail to Santa Claus, North Pole, HOHOHO. Canada Post volunteers stationed at Santa's workshop will mail you back a letter from Old Saint Nick. Our postal codes are letter, number, letter, number, letter, number. This little piggy didn't go to the market to do any shopping. Wait. Then why are the other pigs eating roast beef? I feel like there's at least one of these pigs with its own agenda. Saw a place labeled as public house when I moved nearby recently. It was at that moment I realized, oh, that's why they call them pubs. It's short for public house. In Russian phrase, public house means a whorehouse, not a pub. I wonder. For a long time I thought to bust a nut meant that you were going to kick a guy in the balls or beat him up. So anytime I was getting worked up or angry talking about some guy, the first would say, I'm going to bust his fucking nut, not knowing the real meaning. Nobody ever said anything, but it was always followed by my friends laughing, so I assumed it was because I was being dramatic. Years go by and my coworker is telling me about some rude person he met and I said, you should definitely bust that guy's nut. To which he paused and said, do you even know what that means? Suffice it to say I was extremely embarrassed and horrified when he explained it to me. Similarly, I have a friend who didn't know what friends with benefits meant. She thought it meant like a friend from work who is literally beneficial to your work. I had a boss that was under the impression that bust a nut meant to work extremely hard. Suffice to say our team meeting ended awkwardly when Sean would tell all of us to go bust a nut after the meeting. Person facepalming male sign. English is fun. Busting your ass totally means to work hard. Meanwhile, breaking my balls means what op thinks. When I was little we had an Australian shepherd named Sydney. I didn't understand why her name was Sydney until 18 years later. I named my American Eskimo Juno. You have an Eskimo? That they put measurement stickers next to gas station doors so if a robber is running out of the store you can get a better estimate of their height. I always thought they were just there for something fun to do on road trip stops. More than that, they're not actually accurate if you stand against them and measure that way. They're supposed to be placed so the camera will show the correct height of the person. compensating for the angle of the camera. Whoa. Whole new dimension to it now. Till. Not me, but my sister asked me about 2.5 months ago when we were watching John Wick 3 during the desert scene. She asked me if they were real and I asked if what were real and she said, sand lands, and I busted out laughing so goddamn hard and said, you mean deserts? Yes, they're real. Thinking about it right now got me laughing. I think we should start a petition to change the word to sandlands though. It's pretty good. Today my friend realized pipe cleaners were originally for cleaning pipes. After I suggested using one to clean a metal straw because it's similar to a pipe. Oh. I had that one about 7 years ago when my stoner ass was trying to clean out a glass pipe. Man. This is so stupid. Someone should invent some sort of fucking pipe cleaner. Oh. I thought astigmatism was astigmatism. So I thought you could have two stigmatisms. And I confused stigmatism with both stigma and stigmata. What's stigma? Super embarrassing, but in college I would order rum and cokes because I heard everyone else ordering the same. Turns out I misheard everyone and found out it was just rum and coke. A rum and coke does sound like a great drink though. Mix equal parts rum and cola. Pour over ice and serve. I learned that allspice is actually one spice and not a blend of spices containing cinnamon and nutmeg. I also just learned that from your comment. This girl I know has a dog named Dog. 2 years into knowing her and being around Dog, I was having a conversation with her sister-in-law and I said, I love the name Dog. How did she come up with that? Her sister-in-law responds, Dog, and I said, yay. It's a neat name. She started laughing and said, no. Dog. The way you spell dog. I'm still mind blown about this lol. We got a chocolate Labrador quite a few years ago. My dad has been known to name animals after what species they are. This time around, my mum wouldn't let him name the dog Dog. So he named her Kitty. He also named his horse No Name. This is why we don't let him name animals anymore. I knew someone whose dog was named Spot. Spot. Spot.